Welcome back, everyone. Boa tarde, Rio de Janeiro. I'm Vanessa Dezen. I'm Brazil Bureau Chief at Bloomberg News, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all here to this afternoon plenary of the C40 World Mayors Summit. It's very good to see you all here again. Thank you for coming. Yesterday, many of you, I remember, have learned a new word, Mutirão. I hope you remember. In Brazil, that means collective action, and it's a very important word for us. Over the last 2 days, we've seen this collaboration firsthand here at the summit. The media have definitely noticed what we've been doing here, and that has generated headlines globally. So the screen behind me is showing, it highlights the top media coverage. These stories are driven by action, by Mutirão, by facts, and the city's achievements. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those achievements now. I have some interesting numbers. So yesterday, the C40 mayors confirmed that 73% of the C40 cities with sufficient data have already peaked their emissions. C40 cities have collectively created 21 million good green jobs since the targets were set in 2022. Plus, we witnessed C40 and DCOM mayors committing to yearly offers of action, which they plan to deliver at COP upon year. So you can see it all there. And here, together with us, what 2 interesting days have been. This afternoon, it's time to focus on how this collective vision will propel us toward Belém. We are all very excited about COP30 in Brazil. And now we have a message from my special guest who wasn't able to join us in person here today. Please welcome a video message from environmental activist and former Vice President of the United States, Al Gore.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't join you in Rio for this incredibly important gathering in person, but I'm grateful to C40 for inviting me to offer this virtual intervention. With the health and lives of people in the world's cities at risk from climate impacts happening around the world day after day, leadership from the world's mayors has never been more important. Cities are also at the forefront of the public health crisis of air pollution that is exacerbated by the burning of fossil fuels. A coalition that I co-founded, Climate Trace, recently released a tool showing where dangerous particulate pollution flows into thousands of cities, putting at least 1.6 million people in its path. I'm heartened by the work you're doing at this event to demonstrate the progress that cities and subnational leaders around the world can achieve, especially when standing side by side, united in action. Our team at Climate Trace is very proud to be working closely with C40 to support mayors with the data they need showing where greenhouse gas pollution in cities comes from, where the air pollution from these sources goes, and what actions can be taken to reduce harm. We're eager to work with cities around the world to turn this data into action together. When leadership at the national level falters, it's more than ever up to cities to step up and fill the gap. And as we look ahead to COP30 in just a few days, remember that your voices are essential to driving ambition, and your actions are imperative in achieving the clean energy transition. And if you ever doubt our ability to muster the political will necessary to solve this crisis, please always remember that political will is itself a renewable resource. Thank you.
A huge thank you once again to Al Gore. Now, to launch the first panel into this afternoon plenary, we welcome Eric Garcetti, former mayor of Los Angeles and former chair of C40 Cities, former US ambassador to India, and now ambassador for global climate diplomacy for C40 Cities, who will be moderating our opening panel on the Coalition for High Ambition Multi-Level Partnerships. We call it CHAMP. So welcome to the stage.
What are you doing? Nice to see you all. Well, welcome to what is the beginning of our closing today. And I'm so excited to be here with you. Can you feel the energy in the room? Because certainly yesterday when we came here, it was electric. Thank you to our chairs. Thank you to Mark and the staff. Change is afoot, and I say if you're getting depressed about climate, just come here to Rio and meet not only with our amazing Brazilian hosts. Can we give them another round of applause and thank them for all that they've done? But also meet with these incredible local leaders, because if you think climate isn't moving, just come to cities and you will see what is possible and what we have planned. So today we have an amazing group of superheroes who will be coming out working on finance. And I know what you're saying, finance isn't sexy. This is going to be the second sexiest panel of all, borrowing from the Mayor Khan's second favorite city metaphor. And I'd like to invite our panelists out. There are 3 Brazilians and 1 Danish leader who is with us as well. First, welcome Ilan Goldfan, who is the president of the Inter-American Development Bank. We've got Jader Balbayo Filho, the Minister of Cities, who has been an amazing host. Give him a special round of applause as well. Thank you, Minister, for your leadership. We've got Francinetti Carvalho, who is the mayor of Abebetuba, which is in the Amazon region, where many of us will be in the next couple of weeks. A dynamic mayor. Please give her a round of applause as well. Brigitte Hansen, a former mayor in Denmark, but also now the local government representative in the Agreement of a Green Denmark. And as I mentioned, a president as well, President Goldfan from the Inter-American Development Bank. Please have a seat, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start at the highest level, if we can, President Goldfan. You are based in Washington, D.C. You see an international scope. Cities are amazing when it comes to funding. And one of the things we've reminded people of this week is cities don't just come asking for money. Cities come forward giving money. It is cities that are funding housing, transportation networks, electricity, sewage. We are contributors to finance. But we also want to see financial institutions and national governments be able to bring those dollars for faster implementation at the local level. And I know that you have been working at IDB to develop innovative tools, to reform policies, to channel that capital more effectively at the subnational level. So tell us how you are doing that within the IDB and any lessons you've learned from other multinational lending institutions that are doing the same thing so that we can see that change come even more quickly.
So thank you very much. It's good afternoon to all of you. It's a great pleasure with such a distinguished panel. Thank you all for hosting me in my city. So you see? So what are we doing? I was a year ago here in Rio, more than a year ago, was with G20, and we were talking how can we help. And I mentioned that we can help in 3 different views. One is financing, technical support, and having partners where we can get a network. So cities are very important for us. When you look at the region, we are the Inter-American Development Bank. We look at the whole region, 26 countries. 80% of the population lives in cities. We are going to the Amazon. We are going to Belém. 70% of the countries live in cities. When you tell this in other places, They don't believe that so many people live in cities, even in the Amazon. Now, $4.3 trillion annually is what you need for the cities. That's the calculation we've done. And you do need to be able to finance it. So you ask me, what have we done? For the Multilateral Development Bank, you can say, well, I lend to governments, federal governments. They can transfer the money. It's not going to work. So what we have done is that we are first launching a facility in Belém, now at COP30, a facility for cities and resilient infrastructure on the Amazon, based on our Amazon Forever program. That's number one. Number two, we actually have a pilot program, which our board just approved now, in the mid-year in July, of a $1 billion project where we can finance directly cities. We're going to help.
That deserves a round of applause. This is an institution putting their money where their mouth is.
And some cities are faster than others. So the first city that actually came, Cartagena. And we are giving them the money. We're going to approve it now at the board, the first city. What does the program do? First, financing, of course. Second, technical expertise, because we get best practices from all of you and try to diversify. And second, we work with countries in terms of project preparation. So you need to have the money, but you need to have the project. Some cities have the capacity, easy. Some others have less capacity. Can we work with the ones that have more and the ones that have less to offer this capacity to prepare the project? Yes, we can. And that's something we have been doing. In addition, we need to prepare the cities, and you all know, to be resilient, natural disasters. And that's a major issue that we are facing. Every week, there is some city in some country that is suffering a natural disaster. Just to give you an example from the Inter-American Development Bank, Hurricane Melissa was just talking to Jamaica, Haiti, others. Today, Mexico with the floods. Tomorrow will be some others. It is all the time. Things have changed, and we need to prepare cities for the resilience. So we have been working with cities on how to be prepared. We have launched a program, joint program, which is called Ready and Resilient Americas, where the countries join, and whenever a disaster occurs, we can ask for others to help and to join. So for example, if you have a fire in Chile, I don't know, near Santiago or whatever, can you come with other countries to help? With expertise, with planes, with water. You need to be prepared. So we have launched that, and that was quite important. So last point, our money continues to be public money. I'm an Inter-American Development Bank. We are funded by governments. Has any other government, has any other public money? It's limited. It's cheaper, it's longer, but it's limited. So we need to mobilize private sector capital. And that's something that we need to work together. We can do it by providing what we call blended finance. So we provide the cheapest one, you blend it with the private sector, and you still have a better terms. Also, we have been working with some of the cities to attract capital by providing guarantees. What is a guarantee? You are a private sector, you want to have a project in a specific city, you are concerned about the losses, we provide you the guarantees. So we can do it by ourselves, or we can do it with other development banks, with the World Bank, IDB, national development banks. In Brazil, you have BNDES. We can work together, and we can enter together with the private sector, and that's helpful. So let me close by just reiterating that I have a deep appreciation to you as mayors. You are the frontier of what are the challenges, but also the frontier of being pragmatic. You really face people's problems. And I guess that my job is to help you. Good. My job is to help you deliver more financing, to deliver more projects, more technical assistance, and to help you also be prepared for disasters. So we are walking the talk. We create this pilot program, and we are working with several of you. Several of you know me in Latin America. I'm sorry, not in everywhere, but in Latin America and the Caribbean. But some of you know me with concrete projects to the benefits of lives of billions of people that live in cities in the world. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, Mr. President, thank you for building safer communities, stronger communities, and more collaborative communities, and really being a model. And I hope some of our private sector friends out there heard that challenge, too, to step up as private banks and private financing to match that. Now let me turn to our Brazilian leaders that are here, to Minister Filo and also to Mayor Cavallo. There's many places in the world that have a federal system where national governments share power with provinces or states. The United States Constitution is one example. But Brazil may have what is perhaps the most advanced constitution that also mentions cities, which is very unique, not just for our climate work, but in all the governance of this country. And it is a real example for us to take back to our own countries to say, not only is this written into the Constitution, but in the practice of what this country does. And Brazil has led on CHAMP, which is something that came out of the COP. It was a fancy acronym that essentially says national governments need to work with local and state governments to implement our climate goals. And you have been a leader here in Brazil with CHAMP. So could you speak a little bit, Minister and Mayor, about the concept of climate federalism? How does this actually work? How is it applied to your work? You as a mayor, how has you benefited from the federal role? And you as a federal leader who set goals, how has the implementation worked well with this mayor? Why don't we start with Mayor?
Boa tarde a todas as pessoas aqui presentes. Em nome do nosso ministro paraense.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Ministry of Amazon Region, on behalf of our Mayor Rio de Janeiro, Mayor Eduardo Paes, and I congratulate all of you, and I would like to mention that nobody lives in a nation or in a state. These are symbolic elements. People, they live in cities, municipalities, and over there people are looking for the solution of their problems. And Brazil is advancing in the need, in responsibility, the shared responsibility, but we have to advance in some aspects because we have to search solutions. If we think about the Amazon region, we have more than 70% of the Brazilian population living in cities. When we speak about the Amazon region, you think about forests, of course. We are very proud of our forests, but we have people living in cities, and we have very severe problems with health, quality water, fresh water, and climate change that affect us and affect children, Brazilian children. And for this, we need to find solutions. But we have the potential. Our country is they have an extreme potential to have in its own population. If you talk to traditional population, indigenous people, it was during decades that ecology, nobody spoke about ecology or environmental problems. They use it to defend nature. Lula's administration They are listening to municipalities, the mayors, and I was congratulated on our minister, Abaetetuba, my municipality. We have a PAC. This is for sewage. We don't have any sewage system over there. And we had the honor to receive in Abaetetuba the Minister of Cities, a technical team discussing with our team and listening to us, to our difficulties, offering something that there's no money to pay. We have to offer capacity, and we have to understand there are regional, economical, and different indicators. And it's not the same. People, sometimes they said, there is funding, there is money, so why the municipalities are not accepting this?
A dificuldade de ter na equipe, nós temos nas regiões, na região amazônica, cidades que não têm nos seus recursos humanos sequer um engenheiro. Então a gente precisa repensar também alguns modelos de exigências que são feitos, que não se trata, não se respeita uma coisa chamada equidade. Eu não posso tratar de maneira igual os seres iguais, mas quero reforçar aqui que o presidente Lula, o governo do presidente Lula tem feito um esforço sobrenatural para
has made a huge effort in order to do what our Constitution states, meaning respecting municipalities' autonomy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder as well about the technical assistance. You have a town that doesn't have a single engineer, the importance, as you said, Mr. President, as well. So this all falls on your heavy shoulders. It might feel like you're carrying the cities of Brazil any given day, but you have shown a way forward, Mr. Minister, of that collaboration. Why don't you talk a little bit about the work that you're doing, not just in the Amazon region, but throughout the country to achieve this partnership?
First of all, let me ask you to allow me, please allow me to speak Portuguese. And I'd like to greet you, Eric. It's great to share with you. It's great to be around you. You share your experience to help us build our public policies in our cities. Thank you, Ila, for your wisdom, which inspires us and leads us to believe that we do have funds to do what we need to do in our cities. Let me greet the representative from Denmark and Mayor Francinetti, my dear friend Eduardo, our host, a number of mayors. We have different mayors from the Amazon region, the mayor from Brejas and the mayor from Carajás. The Amazon is all around us here.
Querido Mark, em quatro temas.
Divide my intervention into 4 topics.
Essa ideia, e eu acho que isso é essa nossa reunião, uma reunião preparatória para Belém, onde nós vamos discutir lá a questão do clima. Eu tenho falado, Eduardo, que não tem como a gente discutir a questão do clima se nós não tratarmos do tema urbano. É impossível a gente querer discutir isso sem o tema urbano, sem ser ido nessa discussão. Nós temos que falar da floresta, mas também temos que falar das cidades. E eu explico para vocês por que nós temos que falar das cidades. Primeiro, 80% das emissões do planeta são emitidas nas cidades. Até 2050, então, assim, 70% da população do mundo, inclusive nos países desenvolvidos, isso já passou. No Brasil, nós temos mais de 82% da população vive em cidades. Mas nos países em desenvolvimento, até 2050, a previsão da ONU Habitat é que nós cheguemos até 70% da população vai viver em cidades. Então, a solução do tema do clima passa pelas cidades. E aí eu quero aqui deixar claro para qualquer pessoa, para não confundir, não que eu esteja diminuindo a importância do tema das florestas, do tema relacionado à questão do meio ambiente. Muito longe disso. Quero dizer para vocês que isso o que eu estou dizendo é que não dá para conviver sem o outro, não existe oposição. São as duas coisas juntas e, de fato, nós quisemos encontrar a solução para o nosso planeta. E aí, quando se trata disso, porque como que nós não vamos falar, por exemplo, de descarbonização da nossa frota? Se a gente quiser falar sob o aspecto de cuidado com o nosso meio ambiente. Como é que nós vamos falar, como, por exemplo, com o Tratado de Chaillot, que o Brasil é signatário, onde nós precisamos descarbonizar as nossas construções? Como é que nós podemos falar sobre isso se a gente quer discutir sobre o tema das cidades? Outra. Quando nós falamos, quem é que primeiro sente, Eric, os eventos climáticos extremos, quem é que primeiro sente? São as cidades, são as nossas periferias. E se a gente não dotar essas periferias de uma infraestrutura que seja resiliente, que esteja adaptada para que ela possa suportar essa pressão climática, como, por exemplo, aconteceu em Petrópolis, aqui no Rio de Janeiro, como aconteceu recentemente no Rio Grande do Sul, como a seca extrema que assolou nos 2 últimos anos a Amazônia, onde, senhoras e senhores, esses rios que vocês veem nos documentários, quando a gente está falando da Amazônia, esses rios que passavam antibarcos, as pessoas passaram de carro. E eu não estou fazendo exagero, não. As famílias, para poder pegar um galão de água, Eric, tiveram que andar quilômetros. Vejam bem, na Amazônia. Eu não estou falando isso, não é no deserto, nem no sertão do Brasil. Eu estou falando na Amazônia, pessoas que não tinham água para beber. É disso que a gente está falando. E é isso que a gente está falando, dos eventos climáticos extremos estão atingindo diretamente as pessoas. E se essas pessoas estão nas cidades, onde é que nós temos que dar atenção também? Então, quando a gente fala disso, nós estamos falando exatamente da importância de a gente cuidar dessas pessoas. Mas, vejam bem, mas não tem como a gente dotar de uma infraestrutura que seja resiliente, seja sustentável, se nós não falarmos de financiamento. E aí foi muito importante, Ilan, você ter citado isso, mas esse financiamento nós precisamos considerar, senhoras e senhores, que eu vejo assim em todas essas discussões, Eric, as pessoas falam, não, o mundo tem que ter uma infraestrutura resiliente, o mundo tem que ter obras de macrodrenagem, tem que ter obras de contenção de encostas. E aí, Francinete, nós sabemos que para você ter uma infraestrutura como essa, você precisa de recursos, você precisa de financiamento. E nos municípios, esse financiamento, o que chega para os municípios, é no máximo 10% do recurso que chega nos municípios. E se a gente falar de fundos a fundo perdido, somente 6%. Aí eu vou perguntar para vocês, como é que a gente vai fazer infraestrutura nos municípios se não tem dinheiro para fazer isso? Isso vai cair do céu? Então, eu acho que a gente precisa, e acho que esse momento é muito importante, e aí tem uma peça fundamental que é você, Ilan, nesse processo, e acho que a gente precisa aprofundar esse processo de discussão, porque senão, Ilan, o que acaba acontecendo é que os recursos acabam ficando só nos grandes municípios, porque eles têm a infraestrutura, eles têm os técnicos para poder fazer, por exemplo, chegar até você um projeto, que seja um projeto que esteja ancorado, suficientemente estruturado para que vocês possam aprovar. E aí, isso não resolve o nosso problema. Isso não resolve o nosso problema, porque o dinheiro, se não chegar na ponta, esqueça, não vai ter infraestrutura. E a gente vai continuar vendo cenas como a gente tem visto repetidamente no mundo. Isso, que eu não estou falando aqui, viu, senhoras e senhores? Eu sei que tem outras pessoas de outros países aqui. Eu não estou falando do Brasil, não. Eu estou falando do mundo. Estou falando da África, eu estou falando da Ásia, eu estou falando da América Latina. É lá que não chega. Porque o Brasil, Eduardo, até a gente tem recursos para isso, Hansen. O Brasil fez agora uma seleção de infraestrutura, Eric, de 25 bilhões de dólares. para fazer obras de macrodrenagem, melhorar a questão da mobilidade, fazer obras de contenção de encostas e tantas outras obras. Então, até outros países têm mais necessidade do que propriamente a gente. Mas nós precisamos falar de financiamento, pessoal. Eu queria aqui chamar a atenção das senhoras e senhores com um detalhe. A expectativa que a ONU faz em termos de recursos necessários anualmente para que nós possamos levar a infraestrutura gira em torno de 1 trilhão e 200 bilhões de dólares. Eu quero deixar claro aqui, pessoal, quem fez o processo de emissões, quem agrediu o meio ambiente, não foram os países do terceiro mundo, nem os países em desenvolvimento. Foram os países desenvolvidos do mundo que fizeram esse processo. Então, são eles que têm que pagar a maior parte dessa conta. E a gente, quando fala isso, pessoal, o Brasil tem cadeira para falar disso, que nós estamos fazendo os investimentos. Mas nós precisamos de mais. Do mesmo jeito que muitos países que estão aqui. A gente precisa de mais disso. E ao finalizar, Eric, eu preciso tratar de uma outra coisa que eu acho que é fundamental, e aqui eu queria falar com as agências de fomento. Nós precisamos falar de projetos. Eu tenho presenciado dentro do PAC, que nós temos mandado recursos, Dylan, mas os projetos não têm suficientemente um trabalho técnico estruturado para que essas obras saiam do papel. Então, o processo fica no caminho. Então, muitas das vezes, você tem o dinheiro, mas o projeto não está estruturado suficientemente para que essas obras aconteçam. Então, é muito importante. Eu vejo muita gente falar sobre financiamento. Nós precisamos falar sobre financiamento, mas, ao mesmo tempo, esse financiamento não vai se transformar em realidade se nós não tivermos apoiamento técnico sério e consistente, que não pare, para que a gente de fato faça com que essas obras saiam do papel. E eu encerro agradecendo aqui a atenção de vocês, dizendo o seguinte: não haverá, senhoras e senhores, não haverá justiça climática se não encontrarmos uma maneira de fazer com que a justiça urbana se torne uma coisa real. Obrigado.
Very, very powerfully said. Thank you. Obrigado. The clock says we have 15 seconds left, but we have one more panelist. So to the organizers, and we won't go, of course, to our second question, I want to bring in Denmark and Bridget, because we've talked about funding access, we've talked about funding implementation, it was beautiful, don't worry, and funding justice, which you said so powerfully. You know, it's always tough having conventions with politicians because we can never get rid of the microphone, but we always have important things to say. Bridget, for you, you have implemented, just as we've seen here in Brazil, a partnership between the local governments and your national government. Share with us how that model is working in Denmark and what lessons we can take, because it's both developing and developed world linked with the same problem.
Thank you very much. And you promised me 5 minutes. Remember that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to the next panel. We appreciate you.
And thanks for the invitation. I'm grateful to be in your beautiful country, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to represent one part of Denmark's multi-level collaboration with the Agreement for a Green Denmark, which has accelerated climate action both locally and nationally, thereby providing an example of champ commitment. In Denmark, all municipalities have very strong climate ambitions and climate action plans to support them. Here we have a good tradition working with C40, and thank you very much. These action plans represent local leadership and that mayors and city councils take responsibility and works towards achieving them. Based on the effective execution of several climate plans, the national government and parliament has become aware that through local cooperation, ambitious climate goals can be ensured. It took some time for the government and the national level to experience and to know that the local people and the mayors take lots of responsibility, but now they know. In 2040, the national government in Denmark decided on a plan. This came about cooperation between local and national levels. This became maybe the most ambitious climate and environmental initiative to date. It is called Agreement for a Green Denmark, and it is aimed at delivering a sustainable transformation of the agricultural sector and landscape of Denmark. The core objective is a massive conversion of farmland, a lot of new forest, and conversion of lowland farmland. This is, of course, to reduce emissions, secure cleaner water, and create much more nature and biodiversity, all while maintaining a competitive food production industry. The agreement was developed through an innovative green tripartite negotiation between the state, the agricultural sector, green NGOs, unions, and local governments. We made the plan together, and local governments were then given a key role in implementing it. Our story and our goals are shaped nationally, but operationalized locally. The implementation is driven locally by tripartite groups, bringing together municipalities, landowners, representatives from interest groups representing nature interests, and the state. Notice the state. The National Association of Municipalities, where I work now, told the national level to remain a part of the process. We said to them, it's very, very important that you just don't mention a target for us to develop, stay all the way with us. Don't leave and do other things. We work together in achieving our goals through multi-level collaboration. Especially when it's difficult, it is crucial that we work together. We know that the local level empowers citizens locally and is a key element in ensuring that the area transformation is in line with citizens' preferences and wishes. The tripart multi-level model allocates responsibility and resources to the local level, acknowledging the local leaders' unique role in delivering climate action through strong collaborations and engagement of the local communities. This helps build support and local ownership, which is crucial for success. I'm soon finished. However,
you're doing great.
However, ambitions and national goals are cost-free to announce. A truth which also applies to the green transition is that it requires a lot of money, and I'm not come to ask you for money. No. But finance is key for multi-level collaboration, as you said, as it makes the most cost-effective transitions towards the goal of agreement for a green Denmark. The agreement I'm telling you about includes more than 5.5 billion euros for Denmark's Green Land Fund to finance green initiatives. It is a lot of money in Denmark. Half of the funding is allocated toward afforestation, 1/4 of the conversion of lowland, farmland, and finally towards reparcelling. The local level, the municipalities will receive more than 60 million euros to facilitate and drive the transition. The agreement for a green Denmark and a tripart group serve as a model for demonstrating climate leadership through ambitious climate actions and multi-level partnerships. So, to summarize, set ambitions for climate and environment, you do that so fine. Bring the relevant partners together, work in a multi-level collaboration. This will accelerate implementation. Things happen when mayors take responsibility, we know, all over the country. And last but not least, hard work is not enough. We need money, and effective leadership is crucial. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, in conclusion, whether it's access and leverage, whether it's inclusion and planning, whether it's urgency and resilience, or whether it's justice and the demands of putting this into the formal work, you've been given the blueprint. Whether you're lucky enough to be a Denmark or a Brazil, For every country out there, you now have models. That's what C40 is about. Go home and say, this is what they're doing. We want the same, and we can see that just day come just a little sooner. Thank you all so much, and we'll invite the next panel up. Obrigado.
Thank you, Ambassador Garcetti. Thank you, all panelists. Historical photo. Thank you all, thank you. Thank you. Very interesting panel we had. We've learned a lot about the urban challenges, the cities in Brazil, in the Amazon, all these very interesting dynamics between local and federal governments. Really interesting panel. And now I'd like to turn our attention towards another leader, Patty Harris, who is making a difference in communities around the globe. Patty is a Chief Executive Officer at Bloomberg Philanthropies, which oversees all Mike Bloomberg's giving and working to ensure better, longer lives for the greatest number of people. They work in 700 cities, believe it, in 150 countries. And a major part of their work are the efforts to protect our environment, supporting programs that accelerate climate action and safeguard the planet. It's a huge work, and it's spread across the globe. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Patty Harris.
Thank you, Vanessa. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today at the C40 World Mayors Summit and to see so many familiar faces in the crowd. Our team at Bloomberg Philanthropies has had the honor of working with so many of you through our long partnership with C40. It dates back 20 years when Mike Bloomberg was mayor of New York City and I had the privilege of being his first deputy mayor. From those early days, we've shared a belief that cities can change the world, and they're showing that they can. Today, 75% of C40 cities are reducing emissions faster than their home countries, and that's an incredible achievement and a testament to the power of local leadership and collaboration. A huge thank you to Mark Watts. Where's Mark Watts? Thank you, Mark Watts. And the entire C40 team, and all of the amazing mayors within the network. Your leadership is proving that progress is possible when cities lead with the spirit of urgency, innovation, and partnership. And today, we're here to celebrate one of the most inspiring examples of that spirit, the Youth Climate Action Fund. I remember when we launched this initiative at COP28 in Dubai. Since then, we've gotten so many incredible updates on how it's helping cities partner with young people to come up with solutions to local and regional climate challenges. The program invests in the power of the next generation and in local leaders to create positive change, and it's paying off. Over the last 2 years, the Youth Climate Action Fund has supported 98 projects across 34 countries, and more than 100,000 young people have taken part, including many who are here in this room today. For example, students in Crivella here in Brazil are helping their community collect and reuse cooking oil, even turning it into eco-friendly soap to help keep their community clean. And in Accra, Ghana, hundreds of girls banded together to come up with solutions to take on local flooding and drought, launching their very own projects to safeguard their community. The young people in this program have helped create 250 green spaces around the world, build 118 composting stations, plant over 150,000 trees and native plants, designed 3,000 community gardens, and collected more than 325,000 pounds of trash and recyclables. The program, yes, we should clap. The program has proven that youth-led climate action within cities can lead to real change. Young people are pushing local governments to come up with the innovative solutions, and local leaders are listening and acting. And based on a survey we conducted because of this program, young people's trust in government has grown by 20%. It's amazing how powerful citizen action can be, and that's why we're so glad to share our new announcement with you. Today, Bloomberg Philanthropies is launching Youth Action Climate Fund 2.0 and making a new investment of $40 million to expand that work. We'll be able to triple the number of cities we reach, triple the number of youth we engage, and hopefully, I'm confident about this, triple our impact. Together with participating cities, we're giving the next generation a chance to step up to the fight against climate change, while at the same time sharpening their leadership skills and encouraging them to be active participants in their government. Here to tell you more about this exciting new development is Jim Anderson, who leads our Government Innovation Program at Bloomberg Philanthropies. He will be joined by Amelia Size, Secretary General of United Cities and Local Governments, Lord Mayor of Copenhagen, Lars Weiss, and Mayor of Recife, João Campos. We're so glad they're able to take the time and be with us today. They're all so busy, so we're grateful they're their partners, and I'm so happy to welcome them now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Patty. It is great to be here in Rio and to see so many mayors who participate in so many of the government innovation programs, from the Mayor's Challenge to the innovation teams to the Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative and beyond. We are so excited to be here to talk about the Youth Climate Action Fund 2.0, one of the newest programs that we offer. We love this program because of its triple bottom line. One, it is great for youth because it invests in their creativity and their leadership. Two, it is great for climate because it gets many more hands working in cities on priority climate actions. And third, it is great for good governance because it brings open innovation where policymakers reach out and ask residents for their ideas and then come in behind them with funding and support to bring them to life. We have a couple of mayors who are joining us here today to talk a little bit about their experience. One quick thing I'll say, the cities are given the grants. They release an open call to young people ages 16 to 24. The mayors anoint a panel to help them make selections, and then youth gets grants between $1,000 and $5,000 to bring their programs to life. We're going to hear from two mayors about their experience, and then we're also joined by the implacable Amelia Says, who is one of the most important voices in the world for the local governance movement and a core partner for us in bringing this program to life. I might first start with the mayors. Why is getting young people engaged with City Hall on climate efforts so important and sometimes difficult for municipalities? Mayor Weiss.
I don't think there is a better way to kill a good idea than a meeting with city bureaucracy and the Lord Mayor. And that is why a program like Youth Climate Action Fund is so important, because it bypasses all the red tape and city bureaucracy and make the way from idea to actually action so much shorter.
Thank you. Mayor Campos, same question to you. Why is it sometimes difficult in climate or in any other sector for municipalities to engage and work with young people?
Boa tarde a todos, saudar a todos presentes em nome do prefeito Eduardo Paes.
Good afternoon to everybody. On behalf of Eduardo Paes, this is a very important action.
Para botar o tradutor. Nós fizemos no Recife
uma ação. We did in Recife an action,
pelo clima com jovens,
a climate action, together with youth, together with Bloomberg, and it's a huge opportunity. And you have the involvement challenge, but we had participated more than 600 young people participating, more than 18 groups, all groups from the poorest areas in Recife. And we had the capacity to involve the youth from vulnerable areas and put in front of them a real challenging, and to show them the trust we had on them to participate in challenges that were very near to them, to their lives. And the poorest areas in the city, they are 15 times more susceptible to natural disasters in Latin America. And we bring young people to us to look for the solutions. We are protecting their lives and putting young people to participate in the action. It's difficult, but it changes completely their lives.
The fact that he was elected as the youngest mayor of Brazil at the age of 26, I think, makes the Youth Climate Action Fund and the work all the more important. So one more question to the mayors, and then I'm going to turn to Amelia to give us some broader context. Mayor Weiss, tell us a little bit about some of the projects and the energy that came through the municipality's front door as a result of the open call.
There's a local high school in Copenhagen where a group of students applied for funds to create a vertical garden at the school, and also create a kitchen garden supplying vegetables to the vegetarian cantina at the school. I visited them some months ago, and it was so inspiring seeing their pride and their feeling of empowerment. And leaving that high school it left me with the feeling that there's hope for the future. They will be ambassadors for climate action for life.
How about you? What has the experience brought?
Primeiro, só fazer uma correção, eu fui o prefeito mais jovem da história das capitais.
Youngest mayor in Brazil, but Eduardo Paes was the youngest mayor, I guess. I would like to share this.
Nós tivemos diversos projetos.
We had several projects. We had projects in protecting mountains and to reinsert the native fauna, and we had projects together with culture and natural protection, and also tissues and clothing, and mixing religious experience with climate action, so involving churches, religions, different faiths, and faith movements protecting climate. So this was a transversal project, and we included everybody. We put young people, and I had a challenge, because as a young person, I had to believe. And then the 36 representatives, they will be in COP30 next week in Belém do Pará, representing the youth, Recife's youth. It is the largest delegation, is this Young for the Climate Action group.
Congratulations. So, Amelia, from UCLG's vantage point, what do these experiences say about how cities can institutionalize durable relationships with young people, not just for climate, but across sectors?
Yeah, well, the first thing that we need to realize is that we have touched 100 cities, but over 130,000 souls of people that are never going to be looking at climate action the same way, but also local service provision. And there is no mayor in the world that doesn't want to touch those souls for the future of their cities. I think what we have seen in the projects is that we have gone from co-production initiatives, very hands-on initiatives, to actually transformational governance initiatives, like the youth councils. And that we have seen how many of the different departments of the cities that are participating are starting to deal with each other in a very different manner. So this is, sustainable transformation that I feel is going to be impacting the way that we look at local service provision in the future. It's a type of co-creation that involves youth in a very different way. And all of this in only 2 years, Jim. That also says a lot.
There's an amazing statistic, actually. I believe, Amelia, your team surfaced it. 40% of the cities that participated in the Youth Climate Action Fund set up standing commissions of young people to inform climate policy moving forward. That wasn't a program requirement. It's just something that they decided to do because it worked.
And 60% of the mayors participated directly in those assemblies,
that's right,
which is also very impressive.
So we're in a show me, not trust me moment. Trust in government is low and falling all over the place. And we heard Patty mention that young people who participated in this program saw an increased trust in local government of 20%. It's quite remarkable. Would anyone like to speak to sort of why is it that they think youth engagement increases trust and how you might double down on that back home?
Engagement breaks barriers, and this program is designed to create engagement. It is designed for young people to become part of the democratic process in our cities. And with participation comes trust.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment? We have a minute left.
I would say one thing. It is about ownership and agency. I think this program creates agency and ownership of local service delivery and local decision making. And that can only enhance trust.
Final word?
O fortalecimento da democracia passa por
when you strengthen democracy, you start to believe in governments, and the government believes in people, especially young people, that sometimes they are more distant. So it's fundamental to trust youth and invite them to be in the front line, and the results are, they show up, and who participated knows that.
Thank you very much to our mayors, to Amelia. We're going to close this session. I just would be remiss if I didn't point out that long before she was co-chair, Yvonne Aki-Sawyer whispered to a handful of us at Bloomberg Philanthropies that we needed to push on the young people and to come up with a program that did this. So this program, I think, is very much from your imagination, and we appreciate that inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this great panel. Thank you. Thank you for the great panel. And now we have another great video from someone who unfortunately wasn't able to make it to Rio in this occasion. It's Ana Cláudia Rosbach. She's the executive director of UN Habitat and an economist with over 20 years of experience in housing, informal settlement, and urban policies. Let's all take a moment to listen to Ana Cláudia's call to action.
Honorable mayors, governors, colleagues, partners, and friends, it is a pleasure to address you today at the COP30 Local Leaders Forum. 10 years ago, we made history. The Paris Agreement brought the world together around a shared goal, to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Today, The question is no longer whether to act, but where action will make the greatest difference. And the answer is clear: in our cities, our communities, and our neighborhoods. This is where the climate crisis is felt most and where the change happens fastest. Local leadership is key, and local leaders are already stepping up. Cities and regions are showing what practical, inclusive climate action really looks like, transforming how we manage services and infrastructure. As the world faces a global housing crisis affecting almost 3 billion people, with 1 billion people living in slums, local leadership has never been more essential. While I can't be with you in Rio today, UN Habitat is committed to bringing the outcomes of this forum to COP30 in Belém. The 4th ministerial meeting on urbanization and climate change, which we are proud to co-host with Brazil's Ministry of Cities, will amplify how urban solutions at the local and subnational levels can help keep the goals of the Paris Agreement alive. I want to thank each of you for being here and for the work you do every day in your cities and communities. In true Mutirão spirit, let us carry the energy of this forum forward, from Rio to Belém and onward to Baku, for the 13th session of the World Urban Forum in May 2026. Muito obrigada.
So we now move to a segment focusing on how to protect the people and places we love, such as Rio de Janeiro, even when faced with misinformation, climate crisis, and climate denialism. This session will be a live recording of the official podcast partner for COP30, Inside COP, a special edition of the leading climate podcast, Outrage and Optimism. Please welcome to the stage co-host Cristina Figueres, former Executive Secretary of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and founding partner of Global Optimism. Come to the stage, welcome.
To that drum beat. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you, but I would very much like to be joined up here by those who will be with me, my good friend Anne Hidalgo from Paris, my good friend who needs no introduction at C40, please. Yvonne, please join us up here. And Juliet, is Juliet here as well? Ah, Juliet, thank you. Please. And Marcelo, please, please. Thank you so much. I'm glad you made it. I know it was a stretch to come here, but thank you so much. So, here is my analysis of where we are. From a city and a local region perspective, there is actually a lot of enthusiasm, but not just enthusiasm, a lot of commitment and a lot of results happening in most countries in the world, in most regions, and I think this time of you together has really confirmed that. So we come here to Rio to celebrate that, and to have a moment of reckoning. And the moment of reckoning is, it's still not enough, because the numbers show us that we are not catching up with an exponential curve of damage that hurts our people first, as well as all of the other life on this planet. And that the exponential curve that it is competing against, which is the exponential curve of solutions, those two are competing against each other. I have full trust that the exponential curve of solutions will win this race, but it's not there yet. So, if you will forgive me for using an analogy that has to do with Russia. Sorry, I know it's not quite the most popular country these days. But how many of you remember what Russian dolls look like? Do you remember? Okay, so you have a big fat doll, and then inside you have another one, and then another one, and then, okay. So I put it to you, my dear panel colleagues here, that you are the doll in the middle. That each individual citizen in your jurisdictions represents the little doll in the center, of which there are millions. That you are the doll in the middle that is actually doing a brilliant job, but that you have to push the doll, the bigger doll at the top, national governments, that are not quite doing the best job that they ought to be doing, especially in some countries who shall go unnamed. So the question that I would love to engage you on and the conversation is, what can be done to harvest the lessons that you already have, you two as mayors, Juliet, you because you are supporting this kind of movement going forward, and Marcelo, you from the COP presidency perspective. How do we harvest the lessons of success that have been hard-won? There's no achievement that you have done that has not been hard. How do we harvest, fertilize, take it to the next level? Because if we're able to have more commitment, more action, more passion from the little doll in the center, from people who are at the heart of all of this, that's why the little doll is at the heart. If we can mobilize that even better, and you sitting as the center, can we actually push more at the top? Because I think the best results here for every citizen and for every other species on this planet, let's remember that we're not working just for our species, we're one of 8 million species. Let's have a little moment of humility here. So all species would actually have a better result if we could align all these dolls. If everyone would be at their maximum commitment, at their maximum action, at their maximum impact. That is not the case yet. But that's where we want to go. So that's the conversation I would love to have. Forgiving me that it's a Russian example, but can we have that conversation? So, Anne, I would first like to go to you, because we have known each other for 10 years, since we were both together in Paris. Yesterday at the meeting here, I was reminding colleagues of the amazing, amazing photograph that you took of 400 mayors that you convened in Paris in order to help national governments push them over the line so that we could adopt, in addition, an ambitious Paris Agreement. But since then, and you have had, honestly, a tough time pushing through your vision of the climate responsible measures that you had in mind for Paris. That is perhaps not very different from the tough time that we have globally now. So what are your lessons learned?
Well, thank you, and I'm very happy to be with you today, because when I see you, Christina, I remember your tough, your big tough during the negotiation about the Paris Agreement. And I think since 10 years, we did a lot, you know, and because in Paris, yes, we meet with 1,000 mayors around the world, thanks to Mike Bloomberg, thanks to all my colleagues. I meet for the first time Eduardo, Eric, we were together in this moment, incredible, and with all my colleagues from Africa, and I want to send a big, big hello to my colleagues from the network of Francophone mayors in Africa. They are present here, and we can applaud all these mayors because they are doing a very, very big job. And I remember that. And during 10 years, with the network of mayors, with the C40, with the IMF, with UCLG, with GCOM, and you start also GCOM, we worked a lot with this this topic. We have to be part of the negotiation because we mayors are part of solution, because we are connected with the people, with the citizens, and if we want to achieve the goals to the Paris Agreement, we need to bring the people with us. And the citizens are okay for that. The citizens want to be part of the solution also in our cities. And during 10 years, we worked and we make the advocacy and the pledge about the role of mayors. And we had one first success during the COP28 in Dubai, because in Dubai, with the initiative CHAMP, and Eric was talking about CHAMP before in the panel before us, in Dubai, it was for the first time the possibility open to the mayor to be part of the discussion with the state, with UN, and thanks to Mike, because he pushed the door also for us with the president of the COP of Dubai, Dr. Sultan. And we were together, and it was the first time we see light in our pledge, you know. And today, with the COP of Belém and with the leadership of the President Lula, with also the policies of the President Lula involving cities, national government, I think we have a new opportunity for a new step. And what is very interesting is that around the world, the cities are very activist in the achievement of the goals of Paris Agreement. And we propose in all the continent, in Africa, in Europe, in the global south, in the north, we propose solutions adapted with our situation, our context, and our population and our citizens. And it works. It works. It is the message. It works. And when I see many countries like Brazil, but like, for example, before Denmark, when the strategy of the national government is to involve all the local governments in the same strategy to align all the targets, it works. I have the experience, and I finish with that. I have the experience of the Olympic Games and Paralympic Games in Paris. In France, it's a little bit complicated, you know, to work with all the state everywhere.
Only in France.
Only in France. But what was very interesting with the Olympic Games, I aligned the Olympic Games and the target of the Olympic Games with my own, with the own proposal of the cities in the perspective of the Paris Agreement. You know, for me, the Olympic Games needed to be very ecological games, and it was. And because we had a common target between the city and the national level, because we have a date, one date, we needed to be ready for the 26th July 2024 with the rain, of course, but we needed to be right for this, this moment, and we did it. We did it all together, and we aligned all our objective targets, and we worked together, and we did it. For example, and it's also connected with the Paris Agreement and ecological project. We did it with, for example, mobility in the city, with the bicycle lines, with also all the area we plant with trees, but also for the sand, the river sand. We clean the river sand. It is amazing. Everybody said the mayor is crazy, but we did it. We did it. And today, the river sand is one of the most important measures for the adaptation of the city to the climate change, because we need to be linked with the river. And last summer, we had 1,000 people swimming in the river sand for free. Well, we can do it, and we want to do it. We have to do it, and we are very determined for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. So what I take from that, Anne, is alignment. It is obviously the most effective when you can have alignment all the way through. Alignment for the quality of life of each individual. That's the important thing. And I think that could be how we call for alignment, because it's not about, are you aligned politically on climate change or on renewables, or all of these things that tend to get ideologized or politicized. It's actually which government at any level is going to be against the improvement of quality of life. So Yvonne, over to you, because Freetown, the Tree Town, has for such a long time had this vision that the leadership here is about, yes, okay, it's about reducing emissions, I'm not going to quibble with that, but it's about the quality of life. And how can we use that argument? It was either about the quality of the Olympics, brilliant Olympics, or it's about the quality of life. But it is about bringing the intentionality back to the lived experience of our people, the lived experience. So how do we best do that?
Thank you very much, Christiana. And as you were talking about the dolls, and we're inside, and we're trying to push the doll up, I think that the example that Anne just gave, the example you just mentioned with the trees, is precisely that. We align to what affects everyone today. Climate change, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, for many people, it felt much more theoretical. Today, it is very practical. And I think helping us to push those dolls up is by ensuring that we use information correctly. I want to just also refer back to the Youth Climate Action Fund video that we just watched. Right across the world, if you think about it, you mentioned 400 mayors 10 years ago. In this room, at this event, there are over 300 mayors. But with those young people, there were thousands of them at cities all around the world, and doing practical action, making a difference. The conversation I had with Jim that he made reference to was saying, can you imagine, because every person is located in a city, in a locality, under some local government, whether it's a rural one or an urban one, but everybody is. And what I said back then was, can you imagine if we got young people not to think about this as something which affects others, but affects them, and for them to become that wave. So as we go to Belém, as we think about the challenge of the government, I think the best alignment, the best way forward is bringing this back to everyone's lived experience. There isn't a person, nobody now in the world who in some way is not being impacted by climate change. And I think our responsibility is one of message. It's one of clarity of message. In a session this morning, somebody said, stop saying adaptation and mitigation. Stop saying mitigation, adaptation. Say cause and consequence. This is what is causing it. This is the consequence. When you put it in that language, it makes our job of pushing those dolls easier because everybody wants to preserve themselves. If you know that my life is on the line, my future is at risk, you get more energized. So I think that's what we're harnessing. That's what we've been able to demonstrate through our work, but just multiplying that and working through the youth because they can get that message to more people faster.
Very nice. Thank you, Yvonne. And Juliet, over to you because this is basically your bread and butter. You really help to figure out how more commitment, more action is going to be mobilized. I'm sure you have an incredibly strategic head there that figures out how do we best do this. So this that we have heard from both mayors about how do we align from the bottom all the way to the top? How do we align and how do we refer to the lived experience? So if I can already go to the conclusion that I would like us to get to is, how do we protect what we love? Because we love nature, we love humanity, we love children. How do we protect that environment that we have been born into, that we are already the ancestors of? Every single one of us alive now, whether we have children or not, is already an ancestor. And we have a responsibility. So what is your best lesson on how do you suggest and counsel those that come to you to say, how do I align from the bottom all the way to the top?
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here once again. And I want to answer that in different levels. But first, I think we need to agree to one thing. We are all affected by climate change. And if we are all affected by climate change, it means we need all the voices in the room. And so everyone has a role to play. From the bottom, just like Mayor Eki and everyone has alluded to, all the way to the top. I will start with the top because it's easy to reach people at the bottom, right? So to our governments, I would say work with us. Work with us. It's as simple as that. While some governments are doing a great job in recognizing the roles of different groups like civil societies, the young people, the young researchers, and such groups, there are some governments that are still missing this opportunity. They are missing these ideas and the kind of expertise that these people bring to the table, the kind of expertise that will shift us from mere negotiations to action. And to all the leaders in the room, I would say create space and make room for impact. And I will speak on behalf of the young people. Young people are co-architects. I've said this, I think, 5 times in this forum, but we are co-architects of our future today. So that means we need to be part of decision-making panels, decision-making boards. And I will pose a rhetorical question. In your organization, you have a board. Do you have a youth representative on that board? That is where it starts. It starts by being intentional about involving different groups. Invest in youth-led research. Young people are also experts. We are not just youth. Youth is an umbrella, but we are experts. We need investment into our expertise. The young people engaging in research, and there are some that are championing grassroots innovations. They need platforms to link this to the global climate policy spaces. And that is what we are asking from our leaders. And to everyone else in your capacity. And I'll just allude to the youth moment that we had when we started this. We all have a story. And that story is meant to inspire change. So to everyone in the room, at whatever level that you are, tell your story. Change will begin when we tell our stories and when we own these stories and aim to inspire. So this is not us wanting a seat, but we are demanding that we get to be involved intentionally, because we bring expertise, we bring experience, and we also bring the technical expertise that is needed in such spaces. Thank you.
Marcelo, to those of you who don't know, the COP presidency has been very wise in extending its reach into everywhere, and they have set up a series of special envoys into different areas and into different geographies. And Marcelo, thank you very much. You are the special envoy for bioeconomy. Now, if you will allow me, I'm going to pull you just a little bit away from bioeconomy. Do I have your permission?
Yes.
Thank you. Would you agree that bioeconomy has to be put at the service of the human being, at the service of the quality of life of those who are experiencing this planet now and especially in the future? And is that something that can be reflected next week?
Good afternoon, Cristiana, Anne, Yvonne, Juliette, my friends here. The short answer is yes. So I think we are going to face next week something that is very meaningful, something that President Lula called the turnaround COP. As we all know, COP was born here in Rio. Mayor Eduardo Paes and myself, we were very little back in 1992. But you were not even born, yeah. So, but it was the three Rio conventions, so the climate COP, the biodiversity COP, and the desertification COP were born here. And I think now will be the moment for us to reconnect those three layers and all the promises that have been made since '92, so we can make an implementation COP. And we can have clear targets, have clear action, and have a mode where we have not only the 30 objectives and the 6 axes, but as you said, Cristiana, and just a small parenthesis. For me, it's really an honor to be in a panel with the architect of the Paris Agreement, with the mayor of Paris, who did a major transformation, who brought nature back to Paris, with the force of nature that is coordinating C40, and with a young youth climate. And to be minority on a women's panel, for me, is an honor, really. Thanks God, finally, we are shifting the position. Having said that, I think now we all know what we have to do, right? The world is emitting, in order to produce $100 trillion, we are emitting 38 gigatons of CO2, and we are chopping down 100 million hectares of forest. This is no longer acceptable. That was called, years ago, the New World Order. We don't need that. We need the New World Balance. And I think there is, today, a statement going out asking for heads of state to be conscious and to be brave and to be bold and to take action. And the Leaders Summit will start tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, on Thursday. I'll be there, and many of us will be there as well, making sure that everything that was said here, and we heard amazing stories here at C40. We heard the stories of the mayor of Dangzhou, who cleaned the city and allowed the city to see its beautiful 7,000 meters mountains back, who created 1,500 parks. We saw Mayor Sadiq Khan, who electrified London and make it far more not only friendly for users and for the noise, but mostly for emissions. So the examples are there. Now it's for us to connect finance in a way that we can finally get the resources in place to really decarbonize and to bring nature back. This will be the COP to connect climate, nature, and finance. I'm sure about it.
And people.
And people, for sure, at the center of it.
Okay, well, sadly, we have run out of time. So I'm going to ask a very big question for which I need a very short answer. And that is, Yvonne, you've already invited us to change the narrative. And we know that if we read the news and, you know, the doom and gloomism is pretty predominant. So how do we do that? How do we change the narrative from we're not doing this and the target and the 1.5 and I don't know how many million tons to no. Let's just bring them back down to people, the people who we know. It's not even people out there. It is the people who we know and people who we will never know. It is about nature, that nature which is around us, and other ecosystems that we will never be able to visit. It's about that which we love. I have a family member who I'm not going to throw into the hot seat who says, you know, I would so much love human beings if they could just be trees. So there's a lot of love for nature out there, but there's also a lot of love for humans. And if we could just center the motivation on that, we would simplify a lot of the data, we would simplify, and we would be motivated by something that we all hold at our core. So that's the big question for which I need a very short answer. How do we do that? How do we reposition all our efforts around what is at our core as human beings?
Well, it's our job. As mayor, it's our job, daily day. It's our job. We are responsible of the people in our cities since the birth to the death, you know? We work with the people, all the ages, with all the services, and it's our job to talk with the people, with the citizens, to engage the citizens, to transform citizens in policy makers, because we need it. We need to have not just consultation, negotiation with the people. No, we need to involve and empower the citizens, because I think it's so complicated today to do something, everybody, and the misinformation, everybody is fighting against everybody. And we, as mayor, we need to make a safe place and peaceful place for the discussion, for the life, for communities with the difference. And how we can do that? It's our job as mayor, and we know that because the mayor has an holistic approach, you know, and the mayor has a very humanist approach too, because we have to explain, to engage, to work, to adapt also our policies and our messages, and the citizens need to be on the center of our policies and to be involved in policymakers. For me, is now the most important key for the action. If you want to fight against the misinformation, etc., we need to make with the citizens and to transform the citizens an ambassador for the quality of life. And we can do that. We do that in all our cities with assemblies, with council, but not just council for talking, but council for acting in the city. And I think it's now our challenge, and in the proximity. The mayor, even in the bigger cities in the world, we need to have a very small approach, delicate approach in our cities, and the proximity. For me, the city of 15-minute city, you know, you can work in small areas with all the people about the quality of life in the neighborhood. And I think it's the job of the mayors. It is why we are so important and keys for the achievement of the goal and the target of the Paris Agreement. Thank you.
Okay, so your answer is just do our job. That's the translation.
But, yes, but everybody do the job.
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's
the mayor
right. Everybody
so
has to do our
brave,
job.
continue to did the job, you know, to do the job.
All right.
Continue.
Yvonne, what is your answer?
So I think it is a really big question. And I think that the world's a very complicated place. And it's going to be useful for us to frame it within the appreciation of that complexity. We have millions of people who are living in conflict zones. We have millions of people who are living in abject poverty. We have millions of people who are living in places that are suffering from floods, from droughts. So even in those places, mayors may not even exist, but where they do exist, it's going to be difficult for them to do their jobs in the same way that Anne is able to do it in Paris. But we can't move forward without bringing everybody along. That is why, for me, platforms like COP are so important, because we need to come at a place where national governments are being held to account on a broad spectrum of what it takes for us to be able to move forward with the climate conversation, to move forward with climate action. We need to have the finance in place. We need to have the accountability in place. We need to have, you know, wars addressed, and we need to have poverty addressed. So the answer is complex, but I come back to us all, in as much as we can, understanding that the individual decisions about the destruction of forests, about the choice of cutting down a mangrove, as I had to battle with last week, 4 acres of mangrove gone overnight in order for someone to bring in an illegal fishing vessel. These are the things that are the realities. And what we need is support. And we need that support to be structural. So finance, useful outcomes of accountability when it comes to governments, and ultimately us recognizing that we have to do this to survive as a planet. We need the people, everybody, to understand the implications of their actions, but we also need them to be supported, because when life for you is a decision about whether you eat or not, understanding your role and making that choice between cutting down a tree to burn wood to cook is a challenge. Our role is to provide the alternatives. Our role is to make those choices easier. And I believe that with the force that we have together, the determination in this room and among those thousands of young people we saw on the video, that graph that you talked about, the solutions versus the problem, I believe with you that the solutions can outrun the problem.
Juliet, what is your answer?
Amid all the negativity, all the climate disinformation and denialism, I would say we are the majority, and the majority must prevail. We need to understand that. So don't pay attention to all those theories we hear about it's not real, it's not happening. That is climate denialism. But it is also important that in as much as we are the majority, we need to understand that we need to move in the same direction. This climate change and climate action cannot be achieved by a single generation. It calls for intergenerational collaboration at all levels. So we need to realize that. And aside from that, let us also know that it is not just about emission reductions, technology transfer, blah, blah, blah. It is also about people. It is a question of justice. Having those two things in mind are enough to propel us in the right direction. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. So people, justice, and I would say your Russian dolls are intergenerational. I like that. Marcelo.
Cristiana, I think we have all the instruments that we know, the technical ones that should be put in place. We need to fix carbon markets. We need to create TFFF, which is the fund that will allow forests to keep standing, the proposal of the Brazilian presidency for that. We do need all the work to make sure that people are nourished with food that comes from their surroundings, their biodiversity, that they're aware of the biome that they're at. We have 323 biomes on Earth. People should know about their nature and how they can connect to that. But above all, I think it's really important for us to move from the climate jargon and moving from climate emissions to climate emotions. So people feel and they understand on their guts what they should be doing. This is what Mutirão is all about. Mutirão is an indigenous word that every Brazilian knows exactly what it is. So when you say, oh, let's build a wall, let's refurbish our house, okay, let's use a mutirão. Then you assemble 20 people and everyone will do what they have to do. They know already what they have to do. You don't have to tell them what to do. So this is why COP30 is a global mutirão. Everyone knows how we should take emissions down, bring nature back, and be more just to people, and connecting how can we decrease poverty while we decrease emission and increase nature. That's the equation, and I think Mutirão will start this week with the Leader Summit, and next week in Belém. Join us.
Thank you so much, everyone. So you heard it here, mandate from the COP presidency. Forget about the emissions, it's about the emotions. Thank you.
Thank you for this great panel. Reinforcing action, also a message of hope and unity. I hope this all is carried forward to Belém, to COP30 and beyond. So we are approaching the end, and to officially deliver the closing summit keynote, I'd like to introduce the mayor of our wonderful host city, Eduardo Paes. Mayor Paes is a four-term mayor. He is the former chair of C40 cities, where he now serves as the vice chair for Latin America. He continues to drive the city's sustainable development journey and plays an active role in major international forums, co-hosting the C40 World Mayors Summit. Please take the stage. Thank you, Winston. Thank you. Obrigada.
You know, I hired Eric to do this, you know. This is what I did. So I'm not going to speak in Portuguese now. I'd say that to my fellow Brazilians that don't speak any English. I'm going to speak as Mark does, so nobody will understand me. Not even the British. Is that right, Mayor Sadika? Come on, you don't need it. I'm going to speak in English. You don't trust my English? Come on. You should say what amazing English you got. So, I mean, I'm going to be brief here. So, boa tarde a todos.
Good afternoon,
everyone.
I
mean, it's a special moment. We are, as was said here, we are approaching the end of this event. I want to say that it has been an amazing thing. Have this discussion here in Rio. We really believe in the capacity of local leaders to get things done. So I hope you've been having extraordinary days here in Rio. For me, it certainly has been. Actually, Mayor Sadika, yesterday when I met Prince William, I told him, you might be the guy in England, but the king of Rio, it's myself. You know, 4 times mayor, so I'm the king here. But I gave him the keys of the city, so he's having some fun around. So for me, it certainly has been a celebration of what cities and mayors can achieve when we act together. We have so many important discussions during this summit about climate finance, urban planning, greening initiatives, food systems, waste reduction, and electrification, just to name a few. But even more importantly, we've seen countless examples of concrete action, something that's not going to be that easy during Belém on Thursday and Friday. Should I have said that? I mean, that's not very diplomatic, okay. 10 years ago, before COP21 and the Paris Agreement, I had the privilege of serving as C40 chair. It's like my dear friend Mayor Bloomberg always says, we were going to COPs before it was cool. So it brings me a great sense of pride to see our largest World Mayors Summit ever kickstarting this year's COP. It also brings, thank you. It also brings me great joy to see how much C40 has grown and how it continues to support mayors across the globe in committing to climate action, reducing emissions, and building more resilient and sustainable cities. This summit marks 20 years of C40 leadership, and we can be proud of what our cities have accomplished together. C40 cities are reducing per capita emissions 5 times faster than the global average, and most of them have been continuously cutting emissions year after year. Together, we have created over 21 million good green jobs and implemented more than 200,000 mitigations and adaptation actions. Cities are delivering. Here in Rio, you can see proof that climate action is not at all abstract. Light rail vehicles in downtown Rio, cleaner buses, new parks and protected areas, solar farms, and hundreds of adaptation measures. We are making our neighborhoods more livable, fair, and resilient. We owe much of this success, dear Mayor Yvonne, to the tools we built together to empower local governments to lead. The C40 Cities Finance Facility, for example, which we launched a decade ago, has grown from a bold idea into a true engine for implementation, unlocking over $1 billion, and that's a real number, real figure, $1 billion in investments in low carbon and climate resilient infrastructure. But still, more funding for urban climate action is urgently needed if we are to bridge the implementation gap and fully deliver on the Paris Agreement. That doesn't mean we are waiting for resources to act. Sometimes effective action doesn't cost much. Our extreme heat protocol, for example, proves that with proper planning and response alone, we can reduce the risks posed by extreme heat and protect our citizens, making our health systems more resilient and our cities safer. So it's clear to me, city leadership and our yearly offer of action can help shift COPs from negotiation to delivery. And it is for this reason that we call for greater inclusion of cities and subnational governments in the COP process, not as guests, but as true partners. To the world leaders gathering in Belém, local leadership is ready to join you in a true global Mutirão, as it was said here, and we Brazilians know a lot what does that means. Working side by side to turn ambition into action and promises into progress. Thank you very much. Muito obrigado. Always welcome to Rio.
Thank you, Mayor Paes. Now, I'd like to hand over to the convener of this year's C40 World Mayors Summit, Mayor of London and co-chair of the C40 cities, Mayor Sadiq Khan.
good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. First, a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful host, Mayor Eduardo Paes. Thank you for welcoming us so warmly and for your leadership and conviction in the fight against the climate crisis. You know, yesterday I was with Eduardo, and he said, "Isn't it great to spend so much time with royalty?" And I assumed he was talking about our mayors, Queen Anne, Queen Yvonne, Prince Beppe. But as you've heard, he spent yesterday with the Prince of Wales, Prince William, who's here for the Earthshot Prize. Please show Eduardo your appreciation with a huge round of applause. I've got to say, the highlight of the C40 World Summit was during the steering committee, when Eduardo said, and every mayor agreed, that he speaks better English than our Welsh Executive Director, Mark Watts. But could I ask you also, please, to show your appreciation for the fantastic team at C40 led by Mark Watts. It's been an inspiring 2 days, full of ideas, full of ambition, and full of optimism. I think we can all feel it, a renewed surge of energy and determination. And I'm more convinced than ever that our cities can turn the tide, delivering a fairer, safer, brighter future for all. From London to Lagos, from Beijing to Bogota, from Adelaide to Accra. Over the last 2 days, we've heard how our cities are stepping up, taking bold action, reducing emissions while expanding opportunity. As the climate doers, we're proving what a fair, just transition looks like and how it delivers cleaner air, stronger economies, and healthier, happier communities. But I genuinely believe we're at an inflection point. Now, national governments have a choice. Choose the promise of a green economy or continue down the path of fossil fuel dependency. It's a choice between clean air or toxic pollution, protecting nature or destroying it, stability and prosperity or climate chaos. Yet too many are making the wrong choices. In just a few days, world leaders will gather here in Brazil for COP30. Many national plans fall short of what science and climate justice demand. But let's be clear, those plans are not the limit of what's possible, and they're certainly not the limit of our ambition. Cities know we can go further, faster, because we already are. We're proving that bold climate action drives innovation, drives investment, and inclusive growth. Now we need national political will to match our pace. For too long, global climate progress has moved at the speed of the slowest, whilst the most vulnerable, as we've heard, pay the price. That rhythm must change, and we're better to change it than here in Brazil, a nation whose samba spirit lifts the world. Just as Brazilian football taught us yoga bonito, to play beautifully. Let's take on this challenge with that same belief, creativity, and courage. Defend with strength, attack with ambition, move with purpose, leaving no citizen behind and no part of our planet unnoticed or unprotected. So let me end, friends, by saying this. As we end this C40 World Mayors Summit and look towards tomorrow's Local Climate Action Summit and COP30, let's carry this spirit, because hope is not gone. Hope lives in every city refusing to give up, in every community already thriving with a green economy. Here in Rio, across Brazil, across our movement of mayors, determined to keep pushing and keep winning. Together, we're proving a safer, greener future is still within reach. So let's go out there, play beautifully, and win it for our people, for our planet, and for generations to come. Thank you.
Prefeitos e governadores, por favor, juntem-se a nós agora para uma foto em grupo lá fora.
Mayors and governors, please join us outside now for a group photo.